And hello, everyone. Welcome to the Warburg Infusion Entertainment Review. It's time for episode 57. It's the final episode of the year 2022. I'm your host, Thomas, aka Mr. Warburg. Alongside me, as always, is Patrick, aka Mr. Fusion.
Greetings and salutations, everyone. Warburg.
How's
We
it
have
going, dude?
we good man. We have a lot to talk about. We do this, when we do this year and wrap up. We have plenty to talk about because 2021 was such a good year for content. But then, hey man, 2022 is just
22
as good. And
2022 had some sleepers I did not expect.
this was the year of the sleeper. Wasn't ready for that. But then 2023 looks like it's going to be a very healthy slate of let's go to the cinema, right? That's
Heck
what
yeah,
we're looking at,
I'm ready.
and I'm excited. I'm excited, man. I got my monthly pass to the Draft House. My wife is telling me I need to go see more fucking movies, So I'm like, okay, let's do this. That's my year is going to be. I'm going to catch a lot of films at the Draft House, man. But
Dude, if I
let's
lived
talk.
any closer to Minneapolis, I'd be going all the time. Oh,
I bet,
speaking
man.
of Minneapolis, I did not know this. So my friend Dennis, who used to work at Rooster Teeth in their broadcast
Hmm.
department,
Yep.
he is now an air traffic controller, and he got posted to Duluth.
Oh yeah, like I saw him tweet that I don't follow him, but I think you guys were all retweeting that he was like, I'm an air traffic controller now. Like,
Yeah,
okay, that's
and so we
oh,
were like, wait a minute, Minneapolis is halfway, dude. Let's go. And if the
there you
Seahawks
go.
get to host or get to play at the Vikings next year, 100% going to get a game at the bank. But what
There
was
you
I
go.
going to say? Yeah, there's an Alamo in the Twin Cities. That's why I brought it up. So I was
Okay.
like, hey,
So how
you
far is
want
that
to go?
drive for you?
About 2 hours.
That's not bad. It's not
So
bad.
it's not great. I'm not gonna drive 2 hours just for a movie, but like in
No.
terms of a weekend package, like get to town, check into the hotel, go see a movie. Yes,
Hmm.
let's go. Unwind, relax at a movie, and that's when I'd get my food too, or do that like I get a Saturday matinee in before I go do whatever in the afternoon. Heck yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds like
Yeah.
a fun weekend.
No, no,
As long as
seriously,
it's
man.
part of a bigger weekend.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, like, usually kind of when people go out of town, if they're not big sightseers, the early day, you're kind of like looking what to do. You can catch a double matinee, man,
Heck yeah, that sounds like a really good time because the
Yeah.
Alamo's freaking awesome.
I love the Alamo, man. Love it. Well, let's talk content, man. Let's do this.
Heck
Let's
yeah.
talk
Do you
2022.
want to jump right into it? No preamble.
Man, honestly, what we've been doing in the last week since we recorded a week ago, like I've just been being kind of lazy. I've been a
I do want
slob
to give a
during my
shout out to the
vacation.
fact that I remembered I never played Wolfenstein on the Xbox. I only had it on PC.
Okay.
That game still fucking slaps, dude. 2014, New Blood. Fuck yes. That game was so good, and I cannot wait to play New Colossus.
It's cool, man, because like you jumped into that, and I saw that Chris, another friend of ours, was jumping into Doom. He jumped back into
Yeah,
Doom, and I'm like, man, and I jumped into God of War, the 2018, and I'm pretty much like halfway done replaying it before I play Ragnarok because I got a PS5 for Christmas, and I was like, okay, I kind of wanted to play the first God of War again,
such a great game.
and
It is my
God,
favorite of all time, I think.
oh man, beautiful game, incredible voice acting, like and just the action is top notch. It's such a really good game, like because the first God of War was just a masher, just a control masher, and it was just completely just like there was a time in the early 2000s where they just really pushed the envelope with those games because Rockstar was doing some crazy shit with their games like Manhunt, Grand Theft Auto, God of War came out, and it was pretty brutal, man. Like they were just really pushing like the envelope of like we need to get ratings on our games
Yeah,
before we get into some deep shit with the government and eventually we had that a few years later, but like yeah, God of War was the very first God of War was just there's a lot of pretty like I can't believe they got that into that game, that
yeah, I
kind
know.
of like content. So but I decided you know what, I really wanted to replay this game because it is beautiful. So yeah, I'm like halfway done at that, and then just watching old stuff, jumping into old movies, and I've been buying a bunch of Blu-rays like we've been talking about, and I just jump on those here and
My
there, and
Hellboy got
yeah.
delayed. I got Hellboy
Dude.
2.
Yep.
The Hellboy 1, the 4K
Okay.
Blu-ray digital, got delayed.
So Thomas ping
It's
me.
2 hours away
Yep.
in Waterloo, which is the
Okay.
big regional hub in Iowa for the USPS, and it left 3 days ago. It's only 130 miles. What the fuck's
Okay.
my movie?
So when did we talk about that one? Was
Last
that last
episode.
episode? Okay. So that I think it was the next day you pinged me with a link to that Best Buy because you found
The
the
Steelbook, yeah, that
4K,
has it
the
with the
Steelbook,
digital.
right? Okay, you're gonna hate me because I ordered it right after you showed me the link, and I got it the next day.
Yeah, you live in Austin though. Like,
Yeah, look. I'm at a hub. I'm at a very big shipping
I'm
hub.
in the middle
Austin,
of
Texas
fucking
is
nowhere.
because I talk with folks online and they're like, "Hey man, like when I order shit, like I never heard of this, but people can order next day on Prime or same day on Prime." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm in Austin, which there's a massive shipping hub, Amazon shipping hub out here, so I get a ton of shit next same day. Like I can." And a lot of folks in Houston are like, "Yeah, we get next day, next day, next day. I never really see same day." I get like a shit ton of stuff, and it's usually like tech, a lot of media stuff like that. I can get the same day. So yeah, I'm lucky like that. But this I bought from Best Buy, and it was supposed to take 3 days, but then like they shoot me a text, saying, "Oh, it's shipping early." I'm like, "Okay, cool. When is it coming?" Next day, I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I kind of feel bad now, man, because you hooked me up with the link to it because we were both talking about it.
Bro. And real
Yeah.
quick before we move into the rest of the show, I do want to mention we are live on Twitch over at
Yep.
twitch.tv/MrWartburg. And we do have a couple people watching right now. Like Rhoda just popped in, Centroka came in. What's up, gentlemen? I hope your holiday weekend is starting off great. I know you're starting it off here with the podcast, so I know it's going to be great. And I hope
Yeah.
you got your favorite shows, movies, or games ready to roll. Get those top fives ready. So, Fusion, without any further
Let's do
ado,
this. Let's go.
let's hop in to our 2022 in review. So, where do
Okay.
you want to start? I think for both of us, the shortest list is games.
Yep.
I think the longest is maybe movies, at least for me. And it shows longer for you.
I'm gonna say shows is longer. Yeah, I had a tougher time with shows than movies this year.
Okay, yeah. So, where would you want to start? Or chat, since you're here, where do you want to start? Games, movies, or
Yeah.
shows? You let us know
Yeah.
while we banter around here. Say, Rhoda says he needs to do. Wait, no, he needs to go to the gym. He says
Okay.
start games. Ah, we have a split game shows. But that means I can flip my coin.
Let's do this.
There's my 50-cent piece. All right, so wait, nope. Centroka changed his mind. We're going games. Start with games.
Okay.
So Fusion,
Okay.
2022. What's your game of the year?
2022 game of the
Or
year.
do you want to work up to it? How many do you have?
I have 5. So
Okay,
I want to do something.
I only
I'm
have
gonna
two.
let you.
So
Okay. Okay. I want you to give me your top 2 because you always point to me to go first. I want you to go first, man.
okay.
What are your top 2 games of the year?
Well, the only reason I have two is because I'm not going to count COD because I only played like
Okay.
2 hours and completely bounced off.
That's fair.
But for me, a lot of 2022 was bouncing through old games. Like I
Okay.
just finished Hyper Light Drifter, which came out in 2016, right? Like, so I didn't play a lot of new games.
Okay.
I meant to get into Elden Ring, but that was right when the surgery happened and my intestines were healing. I didn't want to rage quit a game while my
Yeah.
intestines were like breaking. So the only two I really played a lot of, and this I won't give one the game of the year, even though I put more hours into it, and that's Overwatch 2.
Okay.
It's the only new game other than the first one that I played a lot this year. Because the other stuff, like I've been into Apex and stuff, like that's a continuing game that it's ever evolving, so it's kind of always new.
Yeah.
So I only wanted to go new releases this year for my list. Overwatch
Okay.
2, it's what I loved about the first one, minus some of the better mechanics in terms of the like loot system. That was a big step back for Overwatch 2, and I think pretty much every fan agrees it's not great. It's too grindy. It's like hey, it's like they decided, hey, what Halo Infinite does is good, and that's bad. Don't do that. Hopefully, no game ever does that again, because it's bad. So that can't be number one for me, even though mechanically the gameplay itself is really fun. God,
Okay.
I love Overwatch 2. But my game of the year, since we already talked about it, it's God of War Ragnarok. I mean, that game,
Obviously.
2018 was like 2018 might go on the Rushmore of greatest games of all time. Like for real, it is perfect execution, gameplay, storytelling, voice acting, score. It's almost a perfect game, if not the perfect. Like what you think of modern video games,
Mhm.
like in the PS4, PS5 life cycle. Like now that it's become like the dominant entertainment media on the planet in terms of revenue, that era of games, God of War might be the one you point to and say that's what you should play because it's the best. Obviously, gaming has a longer history, but it was always kind of a more niche thing. Now it's a mainstream thing, and of that
Okay.
time when it's become a mainstream thing, God of War has to be on that list. And I think Last of Us is maybe on that list as well, in terms of that came about and had their moment in the modern era.
Okay.
So I mean, and it had Ragnarok had such like lead up and hype that I didn't know if it would live up to it.
Sure.
All too often you see developers throw too much at a sequel. Like sometimes it's the other way around where the sequel is the template or the prequel is the template, the sequel then becomes like its best game, like Assassin's Creed, Mass Effect, right? Games like that, where the second game is better. I don't think this is the case here. I think the 2018 God of War might be the better game because it's tighter, more
Mhm.
focused. There's a little less stuff to do that keeps it more in the pocket in terms of just going at the story with some minimal side content that's still really, really engaging. Like the dragon fights, you don't need to do in the first game. God, they rule. They're so
Yeah.
much fun. This game doesn't quite have that. It's like a slight bit not as great because it's bigger. It's bigger versus better in some ways. Some of the mechanic systems they didn't land for me. They took too long to get to. Right, like I knew the spear was coming eventually, but you don't get it till really late in the game after a major story, basically right when a major story beat happens. So it's like I don't know, but the score is still amazing. Voice acting might even be better. Christopher Judge somehow got better as
Right.
Kratos, right?
Okay.
Like it's just that on the gameplay side, it took a bit of a step back, but everything else probably stepped up a little bit. Because Bear McCreary's score might be, I mean, that guy's a legend, and he
Mhm.
absolutely brought his A game to God of War. I really, really love that game. I've been listening to their title track, that Blood Upon the Snow. That's been in my soundtrack playlist, and I've played it like 30 times. It's awesome. So that's my
Awesome.
game of the year. Fusion, what's your list?
Okay. Here's a quick. I'm just gonna go with four because I really didn't think about this too much because I haven't played a whole lot of these games. I did play Forbidden West, so that's on my list of my four favorite games this year. The sleeper one that really took me by surprise, and I saw so much online that I really had to jump into because I didn't think I was gonna like it, but I found myself playing it like every few hours for like a month straight every night. That was Stray. Stray was a really interesting game, to think about this whole idea of like this cat, a cat being the main character of a video game, right? An open world game, and hey, it worked. And like I think it was one of those things, kind of like with Pokemon Go years back, where it kind of brought the internet, the gaming community together because they were all like, "Oh shit, this is fun. It's different." So Stray's on that list. The tough thing is, man, if there's a 1A, 1B situation, this is it. And unfortunately, one of these games I haven't played yet, but I've seen so much of it, and I have to say, I'm excited and I'm gonna knock this out in the next few days. Obviously, is God of War Ragnarok. That's on that list. Like you said, the score, everything about this is better from what I can see. Like I've watched so many fucking videos on this game. I'm like, I gotta play it, but I really felt like I wanted to replay 2018 to get into that mood before I jumped into Ragnarok. But everyone has told me this is like an amazing, damn near perfect game. But the number one game is, and I played it and I loved it, is Elden Ring, man. Like that was an awesome game. Like the fact that George R. R. Martin was a part of the creative process with this game from start to finish, and I always forget to pronounce his name right. Miyazaki. Miyazaki. He had a home run here, man. He really did, and um, it took a lot of awards this year, the Game Awards, and there's a reason why. So did Ragnarok. But obviously, those were the two best games of the year. So I'm gonna say Elden Ring 1A, God of War 1B, and then the asterisk is I haven't played it, but I've seen so much of the fucking game. I know like pretty much every battle. I know the story. I've seen the ending. Like I've pretty much watched the entire game on YouTube and other clips and streams. So I'm gonna jump in that one. But yeah, I know it's kind of a cheating, guys. I'm sorry if you hate me for that, but Forbidden West is just the Horizon Zero Dawn is a beautiful series. They're two for two.
Horizon Zero Dawn has had like the worst timing as a
Yeah,
franchise.
they have both times. Yes,
Like
yes.
they got what came out? Was it Breath of the Wild that came out like right after the
Yes,
first one?
right after that. Yep.
And then
Yep.
this one comes out, Elden Ring, and then all these other great games like God of War in the same year.
And what was crazy was when Horizon Zero Dawn came out, like the commentary world online was just like, this game is it's beautiful. Like this is an amazing, like to see what they can do on the PlayStation 4 with
And it was
what tech
Guerrilla
they
Games'
have.
first game.
Yeah, exactly. And then all of a sudden, boom, Breath of the Wild came out, and then people just completely stopped talking about it. Horizon
Yeah, it
Zero
was
Dawn.
nuts.
It was just like dead silence after that, and it was nonstop about Breath of the Wild. And I'll just go ahead and tell you guys, I enjoyed Breath of the Wild except for one major caveat, and I've said this before and I say it again. The weapons mechanic system, the fucking worst thing I've ever experienced in my life. Like I should not have to be changing out my weapon every 2, 3 minutes. Hate that. Hate the braking system. Hate it. Like they hopefully they improve on that in the sequel. Like let's see if Nintendo learned their lesson. But yeah, you're right. Horizon Zero Dawn, they really suffer from when they release their games. It sucks, you know? Yeah. But yeah, those are my games, man. Forbidden West, Stray, Elden Ring, and Ragnarok. I'm gonna finish off Ragnarok before I go back to work in the next, week. So I can't wait, man. But those are my games. Yeah,
All right.
it was a good year for games, man. A good diverse year for games because we both were still enjoying some of the updates in Apex. We tried really hard to give Warzone 2 its shot, and it just was a disaster. We jumped back into Among Us because of the new maps. Like we dipped into a few different things this year. So yeah, it was fun.
All right. So chat. Let us know any games we missed. What was your game of the year? Obviously, Centroka, Elden Ring. Rhoda,
Yep,
not Elden Ring. Let us
obviously.
know what your lists were. You can do 1 through 3. You can do if you only had one. If you want to do like anything else, let us know in chat, and we'll bounce off that as we go. So I believe the next answer. Do we want to go shows first or
Let's
second? I
go
should
shows.
say.
Let's go shows.
What
Let's
is
go shows.
Scorn? Rhoda has been popping off about Scorn in chat.
Corn. Hmm. It's a survival game. That's all I see. I didn't play Scorn. Okay. All right.
First, oh, okay. I saw
Oh, is
Croft.
this
I
the
saw
is this the
Croft play
one?
this. It's that really fucked up one.
It looks like H.R. Geiger artwork, basically,
Yeah,
right? Okay.
like
Okay.
body contortion, distortion
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. A lot of tubes and like intestinal style art. Yeah, it's H.R. Geiger style artwork.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, that's a fair one. Haven't heard of that one, so I'll have to jump into that. Okay.
I'll put that on my chat list. All right, so
Corn.
shows next.
Okay, let's do shows.
All right, since I went first and your list is
Okay.
probably longer, let's have you go first.
Okay, let's do this, man. We do top 10, but I do want to bring up an honorable mention because, this show was beautiful, like one of the more beautiful shows, and they nailed it out of the park. So, honorable mention, number 11, if you want to call it, is Neil Gaiman's Sandman. And
I
thankfully,
forgot
we're
about
gonna
the
get.
Sandman. Oh my god.
He see, I knew he was gonna do this. I knew he was gonna forget about Sandman. Like, just, I knew it. Yeah, look, it's not like one of my all-time top 3 graphic novel stories, but it's probably in my top 20 just because like I read a lot of comics. I've read a lot of comics in my life and there's just so many great stories I like, but the Sandman Saga is a really good story and the artwork is beautiful. Well, that was the biggest thing I was worried about was how are they going to do this? Are they going to really like change a lot of the story? How they're going to change the art style, the characters? No, they kept it very true to the series, and I was very happy with the story. The acting, the cast was unbelievable. So yeah, Sandman's my honorable mention. Number 10, probably don't see this one coming. Amazon's Reacher. I love that
Oh yeah,
series, man.
The Jack Reacher show.
The Jack Reacher show because they basically took a character that people really got ruined, like the casual moviegoer from Tom. Like like Tom Cruise he's a good action actor, and he shows he has
Clearly the
range.
character was like modeled after The Rock.
Yeah, like
And
obviously
Richard's
if you
that big.
yeah, if you read the books, and actually Richardson is a little bit smaller because Jack Reacher's supposed to be like 6'5",
Yeah, he's not as
but
tall, but he is a
he's not.
he's
Yeah, he's a
fucking
big.
big.
Yeah, he gained like 50 pounds for the role. Like he beefed the hell up. But like, and we both know Richard because of the Rooster Teeth community. He
Yep.
was in
That and he was
Laser Tamer.
Raphael in the TMNT live action.
Yes, and he was Hawk
Yes, and
in
in
the
DC's Titans.
DC Titans. He was Hawk. But Jack Reacher, really good story, very true to the books. Like I said, like we both said, like the model character fits the books much better than the Tom Cruise movies did. So, and it was just a casual story. It was based off of the first couple, I think the first 2 books, if I'm not mistaken, either the first book or the first 2 books, I can't remember. But really good first season, and they're filming season 2, so happy about that. Number 9 was very shocked. Watched this a few weeks ago because I had my Paramount subscription, thanks to Wartburg referring me to Strange New Worlds. But this one was Sylvester Stallone and Tulsa King, man. I really like. Okay, and you probably haven't watched it, but um, it we I think we're in an era where we've moved away from much more intensive mob stories, like those type of characters now. Like 80s, 90s, early 2000s, we had a ton of that stuff, right? And I think we kind of tapered off on that and went into a different direction with our storytelling. This is a little more old school, and I really like Tulsa King. So yeah, great show. Number 8. You know what? Internet, half the internet's gonna hate me for this, but I don't care. She-Hulk's number 8, man. I really had fun with that show.
If you couldn't
This
at
was
the very
another.
least crack a smile at She-Hulk, you just wanted to be a hater.
Yeah,
Like, there's
yeah.
absolutely nothing bad about She-Hulk.
My wife and I were talking about this the other day at dinner. Um, just because, she's not as plugged into geekdom as I am, but she's in the social media space, and so she sees little things here and there and saw, just kind of the commentary that was anti bro culture, that was slapping really hard, review bombing the show, all that stuff. And I kind of gave her a rundown about the character because she's not a big comic book person. And she's like, so wait, so the character matches the comics. Yeah, Rhoda, I'm married, and she's like a solid 11 out of 10, just so you know, guys. I outkick my coverage. Yes, I say that all the time.
But that's a bad thing.
So yeah.
No, no, you dropped
So
it. You put it at the 1.
I put it at yeah, the half yard line. How about
Yeah,
that?
and covered.
No, let's be clear. My gunner got the
He pulled an
ball,
Iowa football and caught
jumped,
it at the half yard line.
caught it in the end zone and batted it down at the half yard line. Okay, that's where I'm at with my kicking
Gotcha.
coverage. She-Hulk, you know, people complained, like, there was so much hate about this show because it's a woman driven show, like, right? But the character is true to the comics, which is really what people want. It's a good story, yes, it is. The casting overall was excellent. The depth of development was really solid. So, what's there to complain about, guys? Oh, we're ruining Marvel. How are we ruining Marvel? How are we ruining the MCU? Because
Yeah, have you
literally,
read comics?
no, no, but here's the thing. How are we and I told her this and she started laughing. How the fuck are we ruining the MCU when in 2014 we literally had a dance off to save the galaxy? Like,
Yeah.
did you not watch Guardians of the Galaxy? Hello,
And
we
in the
really
holiday
had that.
special, they kidnapped actual Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
Like,
So, like, it's a bit of a different style of storytelling, but I tell you what, guys, it's getting you geared up for Deadpool in the MCU, and they're
it's
gonna
gonna be
make sure they
great.
do that.
I
They're
can't
gonna make sure
wait
they
for
do
what
that.
they're able to get away with.
Rhoda, yeah, there was a lot of backlash from basically from the Andrew Tate culture. They went after the show, yeah. But so She-Hulk's number 8. Really enjoyed that one. Number 7, it was a very good show, though there were times where I thought it was a little slow pacing, and that's Rings of Power. Beautiful, beautiful scenery, beautiful cinematography, excellent scoring of the film of it. Great castings of all the old school characters and new characters. There's been a little bit of a reimagining. We've done it. You and I and Chris and Gamma have talked about like the restructuring of the potential timeline now, all that stuff. But that's a really good show. Look forward for them to walk us up to where we'll end up with Fellowship, right? So okay, not bad. First season. Rings of Power, it's at 7. Number 6, Strange New Worlds, man. Like, seriously, Warburg kept telling me you got to watch this. It's perfect Star Trek storytelling. I have not watched a show that had so much character depth development from the beginning, like just from the very beginning, all the way through the end of the
Yeah,
season.
like,
Character development.
to its credit, you would never know that was a show where the characters were introduced on another show.
That's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing.
Like,
They
it
were
does
on
not skimp on its pilot.
what's the other show? I forget the
Discovery.
name now. Discovery. So yeah, these guys were, how many episodes were they on?
The
Three
whole
or four
season of
episodes?
season 2, basically.
Oh, were they all just pretty in and out? I haven't seen Discovery, so
I haven't either.
uh, but, but I knew that they were a big part. Like and it was the same cast. That's the main thing. Same cast that were in the show, and
Yeah.
they bring them into their own series. Um, yeah, I really love the fact that we're 10 years before the original series, the
Hmm.
Kirk saga, from the 60s. We're 10 years before that, but you get to see where everybody finds their place. A very young Spock, a very young Uhura. We're probably obviously we're teasing Kirk because we got a story with him in an alternate universe, things like that. Like James Kirk, by the way, because his brother Sam Kirk is in
Yeah.
Enterprise. But hey, as long as we're telling Enterprise stories and it's very good development, we talk about the history, like the lore that's built out for centuries. I've had a the scenery, like the space traveling, phenomenal. Love Strange New Worlds. So that's number 6 for me. Number 5, you probably didn't watch this, and it's an Apple Plus show that I really didn't think I was going to enjoy, was Severance. I thought it was going to be like a little more like social political, but it is a sci-fi series, and it manages to hover around both like just kind of like the drama and politics as well as the sci-fi. It hovers in and out. Phenomenal. This is another one. Like we're in a very lucky time for us as like content people to have such shows like this that have amazing casts. So Severance is number 5. Don't have a lot to say about that one because like I think you need to go sit down and watch it at some point. Um, Number 4 for me. Oh man, I got to give him some love. Stranger Things season 4. Oh my lord, this was like an amazing series. I can't wait for the final season. We were managing. They were able to connect a lot of dots from season 1 all the way to where they are now, but also at the same time leave a lot of questions. Yeah, season 4 of Stranger Things. I don't want to talk too much about that one because it was. I just look. It's Stranger Things. It's a Duffer Brothers. They hit a home run there. Number 3 was my big surprise. We kicked off 2022 with this show, and it's Peacemaker. I didn't realize I needed this show in my life. Like Suicide Squad, thought it was kind of a funny character. Said, "Oh yeah, that'd be interesting." Found out they were going to do a series. Okay, let's see how it goes. I really enjoyed Peacemaker. Yeah, this was it was hilarious, but at the same time they matched it with good action. And James Gunn just shows he knows what he was doing. Actually, yes, Rhoda, it came out in January. It was January of this year that it came out. So yeah. Um, Number 2, House of the Dragons. I did not expect myself to love this show. I was disappointed in the last season of Game of Thrones. I didn't know what they were going to do with this show, but the pacing of this show is perfect. Unfortunately, it was going head to head for the most part with Rings of Power, but at the same time, if you were a fan of both, you could still differentiate the two shows. So, House of the Dragon, number 2 for me. Number 1, and it's probably going to be your number 1, Andor, man.
I
A
think
Star Wars show that really covered other parts of the universe, and
I
I
think you
was.
missed a show.
Did I miss a show?
The Boys.
Oh my lord! I knew I missed a show, man. Oh my lord!
I
But I will
I
tell you
missed the
that
show. I missed House of the Dragon. I just had to slot it
no,
into my list.
no, I'm going to tell you. I'll be quite honest with you. As much as I like the boys, the 11 that I have here, I'm okay with them being better than the boys.
Are
Yeah, I'm serious. Just because, and you're going to hate me for saying this, Herogasm, big fucking letdown. Big
that's a
letdown.
you expectation problem though,
That is
not
that.
a setup within the universe story.
Sure.
I'll
Okay,
stick to that.
okay. I knew I was missing something, man. But the boys is in there. Maybe I can say Tulsa King gets swapped out for the boys because it could be in the top 10, but then it's not. It's better than Reacher, yeah. So so maybe yep, maybe
Because
Tulsa King gets bumped down to 10, and boys gets put up to 9. I still like She Hulk over the boys. I thought it was I really like She Hulk. Yeah, yeah.
okay,
But but
clearly
Andor
we
is.
disagree.
Oh yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Andor is number 1. I think we both agree. Andor
Nope.
was nope. Okay, all right. I thought Andor was phenomenal. So yeah, those are my top 10.
Okay,
Let's go with you, man.
chat.
Obviously, we have a very differentiating
I
top
want
10.
to, of course, mention Rhoda in the chat. He dropped in Abbott Elementary, which I hear
Okay.
really good
Yep.
things about in terms of
Yep.
like modern ABC, kind of that kind of dramedy style that they do with some of their storytelling, like Blackish and stuff. And I
Yep.
hear good things. I think it's ABC. Am I misremembering that? That sounds like an ABC show.
Is it ABC or is it their cable network?
Let me
Is
look
it
it up.
free? What is it? What's their cable network? It used to be ABC Family. Is it Freeview or something like that? I can't remember
It
the
is
name.
ABC.
It is
Yep.
ABC. Okay.
Yeah, it feels
I
like
don't
an
watch
ABC
network.
show.
I don't watch
Because that's
network TV anymore.
what's the director? She did all those shows for them that Netflix poached. Was it? It's not Ava. Something. But
No,
she was
I don't
that
think
was one like she. It's a writer director who wrote a ton of ABC's like big hits of the last 5 years, and they poached her recently. Can't remember what her name is, but either way, that's where my head went, and I was right.
okay.
So, chat, of course, sound off if there's anything that you're like, whoa, I can't believe they missed this. So for me, my honorable mention is a Star Trek show, but not the one Fusion brought up, and that's
Okay.
Lower Decks.
All right.
Season 3 dropped this year, and it continues to be just a great 20 minutes every week that it airs. I love that show. The characters are really great. They've really found their tone, what they're going for. They've set up really cool, interesting stories to tell jokes with in universe. Like they go back to Deep Space Nine, and it's a great bit because like they get roped into this mission at Deep Space Nine that they thought they were going to play a support role, the ship, the crew. Then they find out, oh shit, the other ship can't make it. You're leading the charge. And they're like, fuck, what do we do? So they and then the XO just leans over and says, keep circling, and they keep circling, and the Deep Space Nine theme plays over and over and over again. It's so good. It's one of those great gags that only you could only get into if you got Star Trek,
Yeah.
and this show fucking nails that tone. So that's my honorable mention. My
Okay.
number 10 is Rings of Power.
Okay.
No, wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's not. Rings of Power is also an honorable mention.
Okay.
I forgot I
Okay.
bumped it off because I forgot House of the Dragon. My number
Okay.
10 is Miss Marvel.
Okay.
And it would be higher if it didn't have that mid-season lull where it just kind of like they it almost feels like it should have been a season and like a break and then another season. With the sudden change to Pakistan and everything.
I enjoyed the show. I was like wondering what
For
the
the
point
for
of
the budget they
Pakistan
were
was.
working with that
Yeah.
kind of,
Yeah.
like coming of age story to all of a sudden, hey, now we're going to fucking Pakistan. Like that really limited their focus of their cast, which kind
Yeah.
of hurt because that was the best part of the show in its early run was the different high
Yep.
school characters, the relationship with her family and everything. And then they cut that apart. It was weird.
You still could have done the lore that the backstory
But
lore
she was
from
so good as Kamala
Yeah.
Khan. I don't even
Yeah.
care they changed her origin or anything. Don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's go. Bring it on. I want her and Carol Danvers and Monica Rambeau in a movie together. Let's go. I cannot wait for the Marvels. It's going to be a great
Yeah.
time. Staying in the MCU, we're going to go She-Hulk as my number 9.
Okay.
I thought how they got into Daredevil's introduction while they teased us a little too much was fantastic. I thought the gag with the punching out the window and dropping through the Disney Plus menu. Could you script a better She-Hulk moment? I don't think so. Like that was She-Hulk Dan Slott era to a absolute T.
Yes, it was.
So I thought they nailed a lot of that show. Obviously, the CGI could have been great. Clearly, the executives behind the scenes had no idea what to do with the character because they kept trying to hone in like make her smaller, and it's like, no, that's first off, do you understand the internet in 2022? Remember last year, everybody went nuts over Lady D in Resident Evil? Like, nobody remembered that? Okay, come on, execs. Pay the fuck attention. Let your showrunners do what they want to do.
Yeah.
My number 7 was a late entry. Or my number 8. Sorry, I got to remember to renumber these.
Okay.
9, 10, 7, 6, 5. Okay, there we go. My number 8, late entry, Hulu. It's a spin-off series. It's Shoresy. I watched all 6 episodes in one night and had an absolute fucking ball with that show. And I've only watched YouTube clips of Letterkenny. I have watched one episode. The pilot was very good. I just never had time to get into Letterkenny. And I know it's a good show. And I quote things just from the YouTube clips. That's how good that show is.
Yep.
You know? And Shoresy is a fucking bit character in that show. And they somehow Jared Kiso manages to make a central focus character around him for a 6-episode run. And it's goddamn delightful. It was awesome. It was so fucking good. If you got like 3 hours, go binge it all.
Okay.
You'll have an absolute blast because it's that 22-minute, sitcom like runtime. It's fucking great. They tell some really awesome stories in that Letterkenny style. Of course, it's Canadian humor, like it's set in Canada. They're playing hockey. But like it's really fucking good, dude. Like I would say it's Letterkenny's answer to Ted Lasso.
I was just about to say, like, it's funny that you mentioned that because it feels like with Ted Lasso's success, that's kind of what we're driving with our comedy series now. It
Yeah.
really feels like highbrow, a mixture of highbrow, lowbrow,
And this
self-aware
is way more lowbrow
comedy.
because
Yeah,
it's, small town, bunch of
yeah,
drunk
yeah.
assholes
I
getting
mean,
together to play hockey.
if you've seen Letterkenny, you know what you're
But
getting yourself
it's their
into.
answer
Yeah,
to that kind of tone, and I
yeah.
fucking loved it, dude. I was like, man, it just put a huge smile on my face every time. It was like, man, that's good shit.
Outdoorsy.
That's
All
some
right,
good stuff. So if you
I
got
haven't
time,
watched it.
if you got time this weekend, and everybody in chat too, that's a good time. You will not miss. I mean, of course, if you're not into that style of comedy, that kind of rapid fire, it's not for you. But that's okay. If you are into it though, you'll have a good time.
Man, I really wish like right now because it's been around for so long, but that kind of humor, like Trailer Park Boys, is another show that's very similar to that kind of
Yes.
style of storytelling,
Yep.
and like that show was 20 years ahead of its time.
Yeah,
It's
I'd
been
say
around for 20 years.
that's the American successor to Letterkenny,
Yeah,
or I should say precursor. Wrong
precursor.
word.
Yep, yep. But had that show come out, like a fresh Trailer Park Boys come out on Netflix
It'd
in
be like,
2018, it'd be like one of the top things in the world to watch. Like
yeah,
it will be, it would be, because it's the storytelling from the first few seasons being a very small crew of like 30 people, like independent working. Like it was basically like what the internet could do if they had the ability to broadcast on TV, which is what were able to do on a public access channel in Canada, and then it got spread all over on Netflix. Had made it popular out of Canada, but like had it come out 20 years later, like around now or a few years ago, a couple years ago, it would be something huge, bigger than what it is now, and it's tailed off because everybody's gotten old from it, the entire cast. So yeah.
yeah.
Okay, all right, Letterkenny.
So
I mean,
similar
Shorzy. All right.
genre in terms of comedy. My 7 is Peacemaker.
Okay, 7.
It
All
is a
right.
show you absolutely never skip the title credits for.
Nope. Watched every single week.
It was so
Show.
damn good. It
Yeah.
had no right being. Another one of those shows is like, man, this shouldn't be that good, but I'm having a blast, right? Like that's kind of the general consensus around my bottom, 7 through 10. It's like,
Okay.
damn, I'm having a great time. This isn't the best TV I've ever watched, but I'm having some fucking fun, man. That was good. That's that kind of where I'm at 7 through 10.
Okay.
My 6 and up is where it starts getting into like legitimately this is great television. Okay.
Okay.
So my 6, and this is another one I forgot until you said your list. That's The Sandman.
Yeah.
This was made by people that fucking got the graphic novel. Like
Yes.
they understood the assignment when they were like, we're going to adapt The Sandman because we're going to do what Neil Gaiman wants us to fucking do.
Yeah.
Like they're going to say, hey, what they did with Good Omens, like basically just do the book, but actually do it on Amazon, and you'll get a great cast to do all these great parts. They're like, yeah, we could do that for The Sandman for the first time ever. And they fucking nailed it, man. I'm blanking on the guy's name that plays the Sandman. I didn't have him exactly in my head, but I'm like, now that when I think of the Sandman, the character, I'm like, yeah, it's that guy. He
Tom
was awesome.
Sturridge.
Yeah,
Tom Sturridge.
he was awesome. And like their
Well, I mean,
version of Death, their version of Constantine, they did change a few things,
yeah.
kind of for the better. And I forgot their version of Constantine was a companion of the Doctor for like a long fucking time.
Yes, that's true. That's
Yeah,
true.
and she was fantastic. I want more with her character. I want her to get a spin-off like Netflix series of just call it Constantine and give it her. That's how good she was in like the 1.5 episodes she was in.
It was Joanna Constantine
Yeah.
Rhoda is the character, but like in the history of the Sandman, he does engage with both Joanna Constantine and John Constantine, like throughout the series, like when you do flashbacks and stuff. So
Yeah,
the
Joanna
Sandman
was
has
like the ancestor, but
ancestor to
in
John.
the Netflix version, she plays both.
Both,
They
yeah.
make the
The
modern
ancestor,
version also
yeah,
Joanna
also
Constantine.
Joanna. Yeah,
And
yeah.
man, she was fantastic. I want her to get a
Yep.
spin-off.
Gwendolyn Christie as Lucifer,
Another
Boyd
one of those
Holbrook as
didn't
King
see that coming,
Corinthian.
but it works.
Yeah, like they all worked. Every single character, even Dr. Destiny. Like this was a different
Professor
approach
fucking
because
Lupin.
yeah, exactly. Like
oh hell yeah,
yeah,
being an unhinged lunatic. Oh, that 24 hours episode. I mean,
which was that's
it's the
the
standout
equivalent
of the original.
it's yeah, it's the comics Red Wedding is what it is. Like that's really, and people were so excited for 24, and then when they watched it, they're like, holy shit!
It was
Like
unsettling.
yeah,
Like as soon as you just feel the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, and you're like, I don't know what's happening, and it freaks me out. And it
yes,
just keeps ratcheting it up ever so slowly until it finally all breaks. Damn, that was
yeah.
some incredible storytelling.
I will say this, like people like Neil Gaiman, Alan Moore, those Brit comic book writers, over the years they have always been very surly about their studio adaptations of their work, right?
Well, Gaiman's
Neil
is more
Gaiman,
because his have been
he's
fucked
a
up.
yeah, here's a American Gods. Good God, man, how
That
did they
first
fuck
season
that
was
up?
so good, though. Oh my
Yeah,
god,
it was,
it
but
was.
after
And
that,
well, then they kicked off. What's his name? Was it Orlando Washington? Is that his name?
Orlando was it Orlando Washington or Jones? Not
Orlando
Orlando,
Jones. That's what his name is.
Jones, Orlando
When
Jones.
they
Okay,
fired him, like, come
yeah.
on, he was so cool.
Um, but this is the one where Gaiman was like, I loved it. He was
Yeah,
like,
he just was like, this is incredible.
this is what I like. Whenever you ask an artist like, hey, how do we translate it? This is how I wanted it done. And like they basically I gave them what my thoughts were and they went with it. They were fans of the story. And we were both very nervous because Netflix took a very long time to announce season two, but finally a couple months ago they announced it. So yeah, we're moving forward. So great, man. Yeah, it's a little lower for me just because I was very happy with Peacemaker. I will tell you, I loved Peacemaker a lot, and I had to put Stranger Things in there because I'm a huge
Oh
fan.
yeah, and don't get me wrong, that's on my list too. It's coming up.
And you haven't seen Severance, which I recommend
Yeah,
you give it a watch at
it's
some
been on
point.
that and Blackbird because I know Christian really
Blackbird,
likes
yep,
it. Is like on my
yep,
go tos. It's just I canceled my Apple Plus because
yeah.
once Ted Lasso's back, I'll get back to it. And I
It
do
would
want
be
to see
nice.
C eventually. Like I like
It,
Momoa, I like Batista.
yeah,
I want to see C,
yeah.
or is it
And
Sight?
we'll talk.
It's C, isn't it?
It's C, it's
Yeah,
C.
I want to see it. Just quick binge, on a
I
weekend.
really wish Apple would allow Amazon to let you purchase the channel through their
I
system.
would do that.
That would be great
I
because
just
then I
hate
could.
managing all the
Yeah.
different services. Pain in
This
the ass.
well, the Apple app is such a hard thing to install and get set up with
Their
on a,
privacy
on all
stuff.
of them.
Their
Yeah,
walled
yeah,
garden
so,
approach in the modern streaming era is such a pain in the butt.
yeah,
Like
yep,
I can't get
yep.
fucking James Bond, No Time to Die on my movies anywhere because they don't talk to each other. Like, come on, and because they have a third party relationship with Sony. Like,
But
what? What are you doing?
we'll we'll catch up whenever you get a chance to sit down and watch Severance. I want
That's
to get your
definitely on.
thoughts
It's
on
on
it.
my list.
Sure.
Next on my list, though, number 5 is Stranger Things season 4.
All right.
Again, much like the Sandman, just extremely well put together stories. It's got some disjointed parts. Don't get me wrong; it's not like the perfect show, but like because it took a little long for me to 11 to have her moment. It really
Sure.
wasn't until the finale. She's just kind of existing and just going through it. And I'm hoping season 5 we get more awesome stuff with her. Obviously, the running up the hill moment with Max, like that was might be one of the best moments of the show. I thought the finale was a little overdone because we know there's more coming.
Okay.
Like the whole like super epic version of Separate Ways was a little on the nose, like a little bit. Hopper doesn't have really much to do with the story. That whole adult part of the story is very much removed,
Yeah.
like to the point where you could just cut it out and it might not change that much. You know what I mean? Like it was still engaging enough, seeing Hopper escape and all that. But like with the escape stuff, he should have just got out of Russia. I think it would have worked better. But that's a nitpick. It's still really, really good. I thought, and honestly, you know what? I'm thinking of it. I'm gonna flip it. I'd put Stranger Things at 6, The Sandman at 5.
Okay.
I thought The
That's all
Sandman was
right.
a more complete show.
Okay.
It's number 4 for me. Much like yourself, didn't expect coming off season 8. I did not expect this to be that good. House of the Dragon fucking slapped, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right
It
out of the
did.
gate. It was like,
Yeah.
hey, you remember when Game of Thrones was good? Yeah, so do we, motherfuckers. Let's go.
Yeah.
Minus, it'd be maybe number 2, maybe number 3, if it wasn't for the Too Dark to See episode.
Oh, I know. I
Where
know.
they didn't learn their
Yeah.
lesson. But
They didn't
everything
learn their
else was
lesson.
that good, it can overcome that. Like, season 8 could not overcome that because it kind of sucked. Minus the Night of the Seven Kingdoms, which that whole sequence where, her getting knighted and then Podrick singing, that whole fucking sequence might be the best of Game of Thrones ever was. And then they completely shit the bed for the next 4
Yeah.
episodes.
Yeah. They did.
But House of the Dragon was what you love about Game of Thrones, plus more dragons.
Yeah.
Yes, bring it on.
Plus another slate of a phenomenal cast. I mean,
Hell
come on,
yeah.
man. Like
Like
everybody.
Patty Considine, if he doesn't get nominated for some shit, burn it down. That
Yeah.
guy ruled, and he was so good. I forgot he was the detective in Hot Fuzz.
Yep.
Like the mean mug guy at the camera. I forgot that was him.
Yep.
God damn, he was so good. Matt Smith, just mugging it up, as Daemon Blackfire, or not Blackfire, that's a different character. Daemon Targaryen. There's a Daemon Blackfire, there's a Blackfire Rebellion in the lore. It's a whole thing. Different character.
Yep.
Man, he was good.
Okay,
The
so I
whole
don't know if
cast
you
is
saw this.
phenomenal.
One of the kids, one of the Targaryen kids is the actor's Dave Tennant's son. Have you Yeah, did you know that?
Well, I mean, it's got to be one of the strong kids then.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to
Is
look
it
it
the
up
one that got
now.
eaten?
No, it's
Spoilers.
the tallest one, the
Oh, the
tallest
oldest one.
the oldest one. No, the oldest isn't the tallest because he didn't become king.
Wait, which one? Okay. When
I'm
I say
talking about
strong kids, I'm talking about
no,
Rhaenyra's kids.
yes, yes. Rhaenyra's boy. No, no. Okay, I'm sorry. No, I'm talking about
You
Targaryens.
talking
I'm
the
talking about
blue eye?
I'm talking the blue eye. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
Tennant's kid.
I do believe it is one of the. Yeah, it's either him or the Targaryen that becomes king. One of them is Dave Tennant's son. Yeah, I know this because a couple months ago he was at a con at a panel, and Dave Tennant walks up with a sign, and apparently there's a running gag because I think Dave Tennant's wife is also like a Hollywood producer as well, or she's just in film as a producer in the UK and
Oh
Hollywood.
no, he
And
plays the oldest,
okay, he's the oldest.
Aegon,
Okay, Aegon. Okay, I don't give me with the names because I forget unless I'm watching the show. Then
the guy
suddenly I
that the
remember.
one that doesn't want to be king and then becomes
Yeah,
king.
and then he
That's
becomes
Tennant's
king. Yeah.
kid. I didn't know that.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No.
Okay. Well, if you do a quick Google search, type in Dave Tennant and his son, and see if you can get the image where Dave Tennant's at the con. He shows up with a sign basically mocking his son, and his son's pissed off because he's sitting at the booth behind him. Like they just love messing with each other at conventions. Like he'll go up and say my dad sucks as Doctor Who. Like they just mess with each other like as a family. So it's like that's a really cool dynamic. Like this is a very successful and very well acting family, but yet they just kind of give each other shit in public like that. I thought it was kind of funny. But yeah, I didn't realize that either until I saw, like, I think it was on Reddit, someone posted the picture of Dave Tennant holding the sign and his son just sitting there like pissed off at the booth, like, it was a signing booth at a con, and he's just sitting, and he's playing, but playing it off, but he looks pissed, and Dave's just kind of like smiling with the sign. But yeah, I didn't, and that's when I realized, I was like, holy shit, that's Dave Tennant's son. Okay, all right, cool, man. That's a seriously like prestigious acting family there. Yeah, because I love Dave Tennant. I think he's great. Man. I thought as what's his name in Jessica Jones, the Purple Man.
Purple
Just
Man
he
and
was
him as Crowley in Good Omens. I mean,
yeah,
my God, talk about casting
yeah.
101. Like,
But as Purple Man, like he completely like broke my idea of him as a good guy actor from Doctor Who to be this psycho, like this sociopath, like this egomaniacal sociopath, and it fit, you know.
it was great.
But House of the Dragons, man, wonderful season, man.
hmm So my number three, we're into the big leagues now.
Yep.
And honestly, and the reason what's really separates them, I should say 3 and 1. 2 has got the better highs than 3, but 3
Okay.
I think is maybe the more well-rounded show because it doesn't take as long to get into the meat. So spoilers, Andor is my number 2, but Strange New Worlds I think starts out of the gate stronger and stays more consistent.
Okay.
It doesn't hit the high of Andor. Like there's no Luthen Rail like just owning the screen for 2 minutes, kind of epic monologue style. But it gets close. That finale in Strange New Worlds, where they buttress it up with Balance of Terror from the TOS run of the Kirk
Yeah.
run,
Yeah.
like how they make that work and still seamless if you don't understand the original lore. Really, really well done. I think the fact that it brought Star Trek back to the mainstream in terms of, hey, there's the new Trek, sure. Maybe you don't like Discovery. Fuck it. Who cares? Strange New Worlds is awesome and Trek is back. Who cares about Orville, even though Orville's awesome? Strange New Worlds is the shit. And I can't wait to see where they go over the next, 2 through 5 seasons if they get the whole run in of the 5-year run of the show of the actual ship
Yeah.
under Pike. So I'm very excited about that show's future because like you said, the cast was great. Whether or not Uhura stays, they've got a Noonien Singh character who plays the security chief. You've got the issues with the first officer and the Illyrians. And if you remember her race, Not just the whole genetic modification thing. It's in the
Yep.
comics. They're playing it out now. But in Enterprise, Archer steals a ship's warp core to be able to complete a mission, and it basically strands a ship of people to die, and has to make that decision of, do I strand these people? We can overpower them, not a problem, or do we let them go and we die? And he decides to screw it, like take their warp core and basically kill them.
Yeah.
That's the same race as her first officer, and they don't talk to the Federation and have not since, basically. Like, and so that's going to be a very fascinating season 2 plot point of where they go with her and her race in the Star Trek universe, because they
Yep.
haven't really explored it. It's been out there, it's been talked about, but they never really went there. And there's a
No.
lot that Strange New Worlds can do that, to pick up off of that era storytelling from the 60s, they just couldn't get all the way there in terms of the storytelling. They didn't have the tech. They didn't know what the fuck they were doing. They were just making
Yeah.
shit up as they went. They had their Bible, they had their Roddenberry like rules, but they were just kind of flying by the seat of their pants. There was no overarching narrative or storytelling really going on beyond the, hey, 21st century Earth's utopia. Like, we're exploring the universe and go. Whereas Strange New World has more of a focus, right? Like, we're looking at the Gorn and like that horror kind of alien style storytelling. They can do the more comedic, they did body swapping stuff, right? Like, Star Trek has a lot in it, more than most franchises, because it plays by the very fiction science fiction while still being real enough with its performances and its characters that you can relate and you can buy in, even with all the crazy techno babble bullshit. Kind of like Doctor Who in that sense, where it's just fucking roll with it in terms of the technology. But it's the characters, it's the relationships, it's the story that bring you in. And for a long time, it felt like Star Trek was really out in the weeds and didn't know, it got away from that.
Yeah.
And it feels like they're back in the pocket. And for me, Captain Pike, their version of Spock, Ethan Peck, I mean, it's the best Star Trek's been in 20 years. Period. For me.
My favorite. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
My favorite series is still DS9 because of where they
Okay.
end.
Okay.
Strange New World, easily the best first season in all of Star Trek.
That's a very good.
Not even close.
You're not gonna hear any arguments from me, man. Like I was blown away watching this show, man, because you were like, you gotta watch it, you gotta watch it. I waited for it to wrap, and then a couple months ago I jumped in on it and I binged the whole thing in a weekend. And I was messaging you like during the whole thing, like, oh my god, this is this. And Christine Chapel was probably my favorite character on the show.
Yeah,
Like,
I
she was
forgot
a-
him. Chapel's awesome.
like I mean, her character is in the original series, like the entire run of the original series. And I just, I go back and when I watch those, she just really didn't like. I really wasn't really taken into her character. But Jess Bush as Chapel, I was like, and I told you this watching. I'm like, I like her character in this show. Like, I want to know, like, they're gonna have to do something. And you're like, it's coming, man. It's coming. Trust me. And the very next episode, I'm like, holy shit! Like, this is cool, man. Like, I really like. They managed to bring in actors that really, like, the depth that they built. They give the act. It feels like they're giving the actor space to build depth as well, not
and
just
you can
like
still see the original characters
yeah,
for the
yeah,
ones that were pre-existing.
yep,
But you feel like the actors are making it their own.
exactly.
And that's hard to do.
And that's the thing with the character Christine Chapel, like the original actress. I think her name was Margel.
Yeah, because she was in.
Margel.
She would be
Yeah.
the first Doctor in TNG.
Yep, exactly. And so you mean TOS, not TNG?
No, she was in TNG.
Was she in TNG
Yeah,
as well?
she was Was it Mulaski? She was the Doctor in season 1 before Beverly shows up.
Okay.
I think. I swear she was in
Oh
TNG.
yeah, you're right. You're right. No, are you? No, Christine Chapel is TOS.
No, different character, same actress.
Oh, same actress. You're right. Okay, yes,
Yeah,
you're right. You're
different character, same
No,
actress.
you're correct about that. Yes, that you're correct about. Marjol Barrett or something. Majel Barrett. Yeah, she was. It wasn't Wesley Crusher, was it?
No, it was. Yeah, well, her. She doesn't show up right away. I don't think.
Okay. God, I got to go back and watch TNG. But anyway,
maybe she was
you're
just
right,
in the
man.
pilot.
Maybe.
But I haven't watched early TNG in a long time.
You're right though. This is probably the best first season of a Star Trek show.
His early TNG is rough.
Oh, it's like cardboard
Stewart
cutout
was maybe
rough.
ready to relieve the show, and then it got awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, I love this show, man. I really did. It would have been higher if not like just when I think about how much I enjoyed Peacemaker, how much I enjoyed House of Dragon, how much I enjoyed
No
Andor.
quibbles except for the boys for me. I'm with your list.
Yeah, I know. I while you're talking, I'll be quick, real quick. I went back and revised it. I did have to move the boys in, and I moved a lot of them down, like Rings of Power, She-Hulk, and Tulsa King. So boys is number 7 on my list.
Okay.
So yeah, yeah,
At least
yeah.
it's on the list. I mean, Eccles Soldier Boy alone deserves to be on the list.
All right, go ahead, keep going, man.
So
Keep
for
going
my
with your
number 2, I
list.
already spoiled it. That's Andor.
Yep.
If it didn't take to the 3rd episode for it to complete its bang, let's go moment, in terms of that final sequence where they kind of blow out of town, you know? They have their fight with the security guards, the town helps them escape, and they leave. If it didn't take so long to get there, and I appreciate that they took their time. They were deliberate. They were focused on the character. They were giving you that setup, that kind of slow burn. You need to set the kindling up to light that fire.
Sure.
I appreciate that. Just took a little long, and I wish it had been one continuous block, not spaced out 3 episodes. If it wasn't for that, it'd be number 1 on my list. Because where they go, holy fuck, that is some great, just maybe the best storytelling in all of Star Wars sans Rogue One. Not even joking. The prison sequence alone, those 3 episodes. Are you kidding me? Andy Serkis? I don't want anybody to talk shit about Andy Serkis. And he's like, I saw somebody on Twitter like being like, oh, he gets too much credit for his motion capture stuff when that's all, everyone else. That, and to their credit, a lot of great engineering goes into that. Don't tell me Andy Serkis isn't fucking an awesome actor. Like, go watch that, just those 3 episodes. Tell me that dude's not awesome. When he says the never more than 12 to end of that one episode, when he finally buys in, you completely are like, oh shit, we're fucking going there.
Yeah, we're getting out.
You are hyped going into the credits.
Yeah.
Because of like 5 words from him and how he just owns them. Like, damn, that guy fucking rules. And I hope we get more of his character. Obviously, Diego Luna, titular character, owns it. Great casting for Rogue One. And then obviously somebody had the brains to give him a show finally and do something with him. Like Luthen Rail, like I already mentioned him earlier in the show, Stellan Skarsgård. I have no words for how good he was. They're actually doing political intrigue really, really well with Mon Mothma.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you gotta know, like, Lucas is like, see, that's what I was going for. That's what I wanted. I just couldn't make it interesting.
But I also wanted to sell toys, so I was kind of divided.
Yeah,
that's
his
Lucas.
focus was on the kid stuff. But the world he's built is so deep that you can do shit like this. And it fucking ruled. Like, you could have told me this was prime era FX getting a Star Wars show, and I'd believe it. That's how good this shit was. Like, FX, like, that was golden era cable television, dude. Like,
you're talking
the Shield, was it Shield FX? Shield was FX.
Yeah.
We're talking Shield. We're talking Justified. We're talking what's the other one? Sons of Anarchy, right?
Sons of Anarchy just started after those other 2 wrapped.
We're talking those big shows that were like getting all the awards and all the love because they were that good. This is on that level, and it's in Star Wars. Didn't think that would happen. Mandalorian was good, still very good. It never hit that high. It never hit that holy shit, get this show some awards kind of good, because it was awesome. Which of course leaves number 1 for me, which is The Boys. Start to finish. I mean, of course, it's one of the few on my list that's a continuing narrative. But where they go with Homelander, I did not think they were going to stretch that out over a whole season. And man, they really do. Like, I thought he was going to break in episode 3. And they've got me still on the hooks of where they're going to go with him and like his breaking point and like the whole, is he going to try to take over the world? I don't know. Like, we only got 1 episode with Giancarlo
Esposito.
Esposito, that's his last name. I wanted to say a different. Am I thinking of a baseball player? I might have been. That's what I said. That's where my head went.
Yeah.
But we only got like 1 episode with him, and the show didn't miss a beat. Like, where they would go with Black Noir, which was fucking out there, dude. Like, that was crazy. Like,
oh yeah, the brain damage episodes.
That
like,
was
what the
nuts.
fuck are we doing?
It's nothing like the comics,
no,
right? No. At all. And it was still really, really well done. Like I said, Jensen Ackles. I think I knew after Supernatural he was going to put himself on the map, and we said this in our episodes about The Boys. he is that good. And he just loved doing Supernatural, which is why they like didn't stop. I looking back, I'm like, man, if it wasn't for Eccles, that show would have ended with season 5. But because he came
Probably.
back for 6, they were like, yeah, let's ride. He's that good. And like you always hear that about like long running stars on TV shows. They don't really ever move on to a next big thing. You know, like that show is their thing. Man, Eccles is gonna go do some awesome shit like this. He brought it. It was right up there with Carl Urban, who's one of the standout of the entire show, right? Uh, Jack Quaid, Huey Campbell, the whole cast. They all got some awesome stuff. And I can't wait to see where they go with Annie is her name? Yeah. Starlight
Starlight, yeah.
as part of the boys' core group behind the
Yep.
scenes. That's gonna be fun. It's gonna be very fun.
I mean, at this point, because you know that we have an unhinged Homelander.
Yep.
I mean,
Who's now
like
got
he
his son
basic.
in the fold.
Well. We could talk about like because maybe Glass Onions on your list in terms of movies. We'll get to that, but like
It
this
definitely
idea of
is.
taking real world polarizing figures slash villains and writing and creating characters based off of them, like the idea of like Homelander's popularity is now becoming kind of almost like a Trumpian cult following with the murder of that protester, right? Like at the end of that last episode, like that episode where he kills the guy and everybody celebrates, and he's just like, which became an internet meme, just the oh okay, like the shocked look of like surprise, like all right, you don't give a fuck. That whole idea of like we take that kind of that social commentary and we put them on these villains and these characters now, but we make it in a very entertaining way. It makes me wonder where we're going to go with him because, like you said, this is something we've talked about during the show. Is he going to? He could easily take over the world, like Brightburn kind of storyline, right? But he obviously does something's holding him back. It's like, is it because he has some deep seated like love for people that we don't know about? Like, there's something there that's like we're gonna hit a breaking point psychologically with him. But the other thing is that now we're being teased that his son is just as fucking crazy as him, and we're like, uh oh. So this is going to mean some decisions are going to have to be made because obviously, like Carl Urban's character, Billy Butcher's quote unquote dying, right? We have some very serious things to think about. So
I
yeah,
don't think he's gonna die.
I don't think so
I
either.
think
I
he's
don't
gonna
think
get
so.
V, like straight V.
You think so? Okay.
That's what happens in the comics, right? Don't they all have some level of
Yep.
V?
They all do. Yeah, they have to at some point to fight back.
Yeah.
But it makes sense that he and Huey probably get it. I don't see Mother's Milk getting it. I don't
No.
see Frenchie getting it. But I could see Butcher and maybe even Huey having no choice but to get it to save someone else on the team
Well,
at
I
some
think they
point
would
next
do it
season.
to save Butcher. Like he is gonna die, and
Oh yeah,
then Huey gives him like just steals V and gives it to him.
no to him. Or maybe maybe it's Annie. That's her turning point of like, hey, I don't like it, but
Fuck it, we
this
need
guy
somebody that can
went
stand up to Homelander because
under.
they go
Yeah.
toe to toe for a little bit.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
like give
Yeah.
give give Butcher some
Yeah.
time to learn how those powers work. Woo,
That fight scene between all three of those guys
that's some good
was
shit.
that was good shit because it was so vitriolic. It wasn't just so like over the top superhero moments. It was just like kind of like fuck you
Yeah,
kind
like
of fighting.
fucking
And
Soldier Boy's like working on like 1-2 combos. You know, just like
yeah,
throwing them into walls and shit. That was fun.
yeah, that was good stuff, man. Like I said, the only reason why for me it was a little lower was just because, and it's not just the hero gasm. For me, I thought like I think kind of in the middle of the season, it very similar to like you said about Miss Marvel, it slowed down a bit for me, a little bit for me, and um, I'm not disappointed with it. I just thought like, hey, for me, these other shows just really felt like, man, like especially Strange New Worlds. I didn't think I was gonna love it as much as I did, but then after the first two episodes, I told you I'm like, I'm watching this all weekend, man, and I'm getting into it because like this is phenomenal. Like had no idea it was this awesome. So. But yeah, man. I mean, I get why it's number one. It's the fucking boys, Shit, it's a good show.
What did you have as your number 2?
My number two was House of the Dragon because I was very. It was House was Dragon was two, Peacemaker was three because they were both shows that I didn't expect I was gonna like them as much as I did.
Okay.
So it goes 2, 3, and then Stranger Things season 4 is number 4. Severance was 5. I know you haven't seen that one. I really enjoyed Strange New World, so that's why that's 6, and I moved up The Boys to 7 because it's like, yeah, I overlooked it. I didn't think it through. But then while you're talking, I'm like, yeah, The Boys bumps everything else down. because I had fun with the boys. And then Andor was number one, man. I really enjoyed Andor this season.
All right, just rewriting your list. Okay,
All right,
let's move on to
we've spent a
movies.
lot. Let's go to movies, man.
Chat, let us know what your favorites of the show. Was there something we missed in terms of shows? Let us know. Movies. We'll go real quick.
Yeah.
Because we're over an hour recording.
Yeah.
So I have 10.
Okay.
I think like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 15 new movies this year. At least I can remember. I may have seen a couple more, but I'm missing one. Lost City. Okay, so 16.
Okay.
But I narrowed it down to 10. So I won't have much to talk about it. We mentioned it though on stream. Bullet Train is my number 10.
Okay.
Extremely fun, stylistic. It's not movie of the year contender, but it knows exactly what it's trying to be kind of movie with some great action. Like, just really slick. You can definitely tell, oh yeah, this was made after John Wick came out.
Yeah.
Number 9 is Nope, just for the cinematography of it. Like, it is
Okay.
gorgeous. In terms of, like, the thematic themes, just within, like, the shot telling you the theme of the movie.
Mhm.
Like, Peele is that kind of movie maker, where, like,
Yep.
just a still, long running shot, like someone walking, like, riding on a horse through the camera, like, tells you what the movie's going to be. And he ties that into the theme of the movie, like, stuff like that. He's an awesome filmmaker. And it wasn't until somebody told me, like, how they perceived the movie that I was like, oh man, that reframes entirely how I thought of this movie. Holy shit. That's awesome. Like, it's a movie about how you can't, like, you should break the cycle and you still can't because you're chasing that high.
Yeah.
And that's like, man, once that hit me, I was like, wow, that reframes everything. And it's one of those movies you can just talk about because there's a lot of different things that you could take from it. And there's endless ways to dissect it. And that's why it's number 9 on my list. Number 8 is the first movie after I actually had the ostomy surgery. That is The Northman, which was a great kind of like Viking, like mythos movie.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's kind of one of their Viking legend warrior stories. And it was really, really well done.
Yep.
I have more to say about the rest, which is number 7 for me is The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
Okay.
Basically, if you love Nick Cage movies, you're going to love this. It will be an absolutely awesome time. And Pedro Pascal's amazing in it.
Yep.
Like, just the drug scene alone makes that movie incredible. Because it is goddamn hilarious. Them just overacting while they're tripping on LSD. Oh, fantastic. And honestly, Pedro Pascal, well, come on. He's going opposite Nick Cage. Are you kidding me? Great time. Number 6. One of the more recent ones on the list. That's The Menu. Came out of fucking nowhere. I had no idea what this movie was about. Other than I knew it was really, really tense. And boy, does it deliver. Man, it's a Blumhouse production. So if you really like Ready or Not, you're going to love The Menu. Really biting social commentary. I really loved how they tied all that theme together at the end. And Anya Taylor-Joy, she was also in The Northman. Excellent. Ralph Fiennes, awesome, right? Like Nick Holt, right?
Nicholas Holt, yeah.
Again, great character. Like how the arc his character goes on,
Yeah.
right? Still, it's just really, really well done. I loved everything about that movie. Number 5, another one that just, holy shit, where'd this movie come from? Prey. It is everything about the Predator movies distilled into a 90-minute runtime, pure action fest with awesome world building with the Comanche natives, and they have a Comanche dub. Like, they've fucking poured a lot of love into this movie for
Yes,
how
they did.
it is definitely made with a budget. But honestly, it's one of those movies that go, there is something to say about constraint honing art. Because the first Deadpool is a very similar example of this, where, man, they had a tight budget and they squeezed every dollar out of it. Prey is that in the action genre. It was such a great time. It is an absolute fucking missile of an action movie. Loved it. Number 4 is basically the opposite in terms of that it is 3 hours long. And that is The Batman. It is probably the only, I think it is the only comic book movie on this list for me. even though some definitely are inspired by comic books.
Sure, sure.
But I was watching, I think it was Jeremy Johns. He's one of the only YouTube movie guys I follow anymore. He was saying it's the only comic book movie that really tried to actually do something with the comic book genre. Like, not just tell an adaptation or
Sure.
make a sequel. Like, it tried to make something new, exciting, and fresh in a way you hadn't seen before. And bar none, it's the best version of Gotham City we've ever seen outside of the Arkham games. Awesome. I really liked Pattinson. I thought it's definitely a year one kind of Batman with him. Like, still figuring things out, maybe year two-ish. I really like, again, Andy Serkis, bringing him back up as Alfred. That was really well done. A more understated role than Alfred usually is in the Batman story, but it worked really well. Jeffrey Wright as Jim Gordon. Oh, holy shit. Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. Selena Kyle. Colin Farrell as the Penguin. What? I still can't believe that's Colin Farrell. I know it's Colin Farrell.
Yeah.
I watched them put on the makeup. I can't understand it. It does not compute. It's
With
crazy.
that New York, with that Italian New York accent, you're like, this
and
guy.
the makeup effects are
The
so
makeup
they're
effects,
so
yeah.
subtle, but
Yeah.
so perfect. Like, I don't care. Like, there were some years where, like, that year Star Trek Beyond lost to Suicide Squad in terms of the cosmetics. Like, that kind of effects, they lost to Suicide Squad, which is like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
Right? This one, that is such a simple thing that could win Best Effect kind of thing. Like, it is so good. And Michael Giacchino's score, somehow not nominated at any Oscars. Are you fucking kidding me? That score fucking hits, dude. It sets the tone for that movie and that hopefully continuing franchise as DC goes through their upheaval. Now we're into the top three.
Okay.
I think you know what my other two are.
I know two of them.
My third is Glass Onion, which I watched
Okay.
last night. Recency
Okay.
bias to be damned. That movie was an absolute riot. Like, I had a ball with that movie. There was so many great jokes. There was such a great, like, commentary. Like, when he finally has that I'm gonna reveal everything going on Columbo moment, when he's like talking about how stupid the crime is. Everyone's like, oh, it's so stupid, it's brilliant. He's like, no, it's just stupid. Like, Daniel Craig, he needs to make this character and make movies as this character until he retires. So does Ryan Johnson. They need to stay together, make this character go fucking nuts. I saw somebody say they need to do a Muppets crossover.
Yeah.
Have the Muppets as characters in the next one. I don't know if you go that far. They need to have this character be on Murderville, which is another Netflix series, and have the
Sure.
Muppets as the characters.
Okay.
And just go.
So you're saying he becomes Benoit
In other things.
in other mediums.
He's
Like, yeah.
so it's Daniel Craig, James Bond, putting on this
Doing a southern
fake-ass
accent.
foghorn leghorn accent way over the top,
Yeah.
talking in old English half the time.
Yep.
And it fucking rules. I don't know why. Why is it so good? But it's incredible. 2 movies in a row, you're like, that character's awesome. It's one of those, like, I don't quite understand it, much like Colin Farrell as a Penguin. It, like, I can't figure out why this works, but man, it works so good. And this was a way better movie than the first one, and I loved Knives Out.
Yeah. Yeah. It much better.
This was
better.
a great cast, great ensemble. It all worked. And I think it helped that it wasn't so focused on one of the side characters, like the first one was with Ana de Armas, her character.
Yeah.
This was more focused on the ensemble until the reveals start to happen in the later story. I thought it used their ensemble cast better. But man, this is a Benoit movie. This is a Daniel Craig movie, whereas the first one really wasn't.
Does it anger you does it anger you what they titled the film? Because it was originally just going to be Glass Onion, but Netflix forced Rain Johnson to make it be a Knives Out.
Well, I think it's because
story.
Netflix wants it to be a franchise.
Not Knives Out though. It shouldn't be Knives Out. It could be a Belmont Blanc.
They should have called it a
story.
Benoit Blanc.
Benoit Blanc story or whatever mystery. Like they just need to be a Benoit Blanc mystery.
There's something here with this character where he can bounce around a bunch of different types of movies, and Daniel Craig is good enough to make it work. Man, that was such a fun time.
I mean, he reminds me of the character of like like Jack Reacher in some of the books, Robert Langston and the Dan Brown novels. Like you have this character that just moves from crazy situation to a next, and like it just like it fits because
Very Agatha
he's
Christie style with
yeah, yeah,
her Hercule Poirot
yep,
kind of deal. It's kind of weird how they're both like last year was Death on the Nile and this year is Glass Onion. And in
yep,
Knives Out there was also the what was the first Death on a Train?
yep.
Murder on the Orient Express. That's what it
Murder
was.
on the Orient Express. There you
Right?
go.
Like it's very much in that vein, but as a comedy. Fuck does it rule? Great time.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
my number two, I'm on 1A, 1B.
Okay,
Number two, and this is because subsequent rewatches have made me reassess.
okay,
1B is Everything Everywhere All at Once.
all right.
1A, I mean, the high of that fucking trench run, him coming out of nowhere, being like, fuck you noobs, I'm gonna do this 2 minutes, 15 seconds. The high of that moment beats everything and everything everywhere all at once. Top Gun Maverick is my 1A.
Okay.
What a movie. Like, you could distill 21st century movie making into a movie. Top Gun Maverick might be top of that list. Damn, was it fun. Woo! Good time. Fusion, what's your list?
All right, let's do this, man. Honorable mention one, number 11 would be Bullet Train. Had fun with that movie. I know Rotten Tomatoes didn't really like this film. I loved it. I thought Ann Taylor Johnson was brilliant in it, and it proves he could be a leading man. So hopefully there is a good script in place for Craven next year. I know they're wrapping that up. So I loved the movie. Number 10, Decision to Leave. I know you don't have any independent films in there, but this is one of those independent Korean films.
Would you
Really
count
interesting.
the Bloomhouse and A24 stuff? I would.
Yeah, 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 I
I
would.
mean,
I would.
everything at everything everywhere all at once.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna crack up, but I have two A24 films in here,
Do you have
and
the
I know we
Green
talked
Knight?
about. No, get ready, get ready.
What
Trust
did I
me, it's
miss this
coming.
year?
Yeah,
Well,
you're
you have
gonna
an
be shocked.
Alamo. I do not.
Okay, okay. We'll talk about A24 in a sec, but Decision to Leave, really weird film, murder mystery where the main suspect, very a fatal attraction, but not as 80s over the top weird. It's more of a mind fuck, really. That's the best way to describe it. Kind of like, the suspect, the lead detective falls in love with the suspect and she kind of just won't leave, It's like not as crazy as not Fatal Attraction, Basic Instinct. I'm sorry, Basic Instinct.
Gotcha.
Not as Basic Instinct, but I will tell you, Sharon Stone was just like next level hot with her like just
Oh,
evil
yeah.
character in Basic Instinct. But like this is just a complete mind job. And if you haven't seen it yet, really recommend Decision to Leave. I haven't enjoyed international film like that since Parasite a couple years ago, and I loved Parasite. I thought that was a great film. Number 9, The Menu, man. Like I enjoyed this. It was fun. John Leguizamo, low key underrated character in that movie. But Anya Taylor Joy, yeah, unbelievable. Thought she was phenomenal in this movie. Like you said, Ralph Fiennes also just to weave himself in and out of is he the bad guy or not, to where you get to where you the big reveal of like why everyone's there. Oh, it's like a great good story. And then the ending was just it was a fun way to cap off the film. It wasn't like over the top. There wasn't a really like a whole lot of resolution for her story, but like it was a fun way to end the film. So I really enjoyed The Menu. Number 8, an A24 film, Ty West's X. I really had fun with this one. The Pearl Saga. Like this is the first film of the Pearl Saga. Maya Goth plays both Penny, who's the main villain. She's the elderly killer in this film, as well as she plays one of the actresses, quote unquote porn actresses. But it's a really good story. You got to watch it, man. It's a good slasher film. This is one of those things where I told you A24 is just like if you really go to their Wikipedia and look at their films the last 8 years, they have some serious bangers. Like I'm not talking about blockbusters, but like really good fucking films. And the Pearl Saga, gotta watch that, man. It's that grindhouse classic of murders, like murder slasher films. Gotta go watch that, man. Obviously Pearl's the next film in that one, but I really love the first one, X, and they came very close to getting all three films of the saga in one year, but they're just now wrapping up with the third film right now. So unfortunately, it's not going to be make it out until next year. So, but X is on my list. I know that one caught you off guard. 7 is The Northman. Ah, so much violence, but at the same time, a good story. I wasn't going to expect myself to like this one, but yeah, I had fun with it.
Very Viking death metal.
Yeah, yeah.
cover vibes.
Yep, exactly. Like you could see a lot of beard, like a lot of neck beards loving this film. Like at the at the draft house, a lot of those guys were out there in droves watching this movie. But for me, it was a good film. It gave me that the first time I watched Gladiator film. If you remember that feeling, in 2000, like that kind of like, man, this is fucking rough. But it's like we're quasi telling history, but are we really? No, not really. But there's a lot of liberties taken. But it's just like okay, but it's a good story I'm watching. So I really like the Northman. Number six, Jordan Peele's Nope, man. Fucking great film. I will say we did an whole episode talking about this. I'm still kind of trying to wrap my head around the whole monkey backstory, like that whole thing, like what's going on with that. I get like the whole idea of like, like it helps it helps the main characters get over their hurdle, but I just found it kind of just random. I did, but overall, it was a good film. Kind of taking your chances. I appreciate what Jordan Peele does. He like really likes to push the envelope in these spaces that he's in: suspense, thriller, horror. He likes pushing it. And this is from the guy that was on Key and Peele, man. Like seriously, like this is the guy that was doing stupid stuff on Comedy Central. He's one of our best. Like, eh, is he kind of like the next M Night Shyamalan without all of the stupid reveals? I don't know. I'm trying to think of like a good comparison for him, but I really enjoy this movie. Nope. Um, Number five's the Batman. This movie was really good. Like you said, the score was phenomenal. The thing that stands out for me, obviously, was Colin Farrell as a Penguin. Like, holy
He's
shit!
barely in
Like
the
this,
movie, but man, it was just
I like
seamless.
his
Like
moments were,
that's how an
yeah.
actor. You think an actor hiding in a role, like damn, that was awesome.
Every time he's on camera, he's like stands out. Obviously, in the very beginning when he's at the club, he stands out. But then the chase scene, like holy shit, it's just everything. And then the confrontation with with Gordon and Batman on the roof of that building, like all of that stuff is just like I really had fun. I really had fun with this movie. We took the Long Halloween and we modernized it with the Falcone saga and Cat and Selena Kyle, but we really gave a fresh take on Batman and kind of like you said, this is probably the best style of Gotham. The fact that it starts on a rainy Halloween night, like really gave you almost like, are we
Yeah,
doing
like I
kind
don't
of a
see Chicago in this movie.
no, no, like Gotham, you could just see the bridges right into downtown Chicago every time they do the wide shots.
Yep.
This was like, no, we're giving you the underbelly of Gotham, and I really enjoyed that. I give Pattinson credit, man. He did a good job. He was. This is probably one of the better Batman stories. Not so much Bruce Wayne, but I didn't really care about having too much Bruce Wayne. I'm glad they didn't have it. Give me a Batman movie. Give me a Batman murder mystery movie. This Riddler was just so psychotic and like you got seven vibes out of this story in
Yeah,
the
with
very
Paul Dano.
beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, really enjoyed Batman. Number four, watched it earlier today. Glass Onion. I don't like you said. Timing be damned. It was hilarious.
And the fact that
Great
it was just
cast.
by sheer coincidence so perfectly timed up with the Elon Musk of it all. I mean, come
I
on.
mean,
Talk about life art imitating life.
but here's the thing: is that the Elon stands out there are bashing the film, but like,
It wasn't
guys,
supposed to be about that.
it
Elon just
wasn't
went
supposed to
fucking
be.
nuts.
Yeah, like just the timing of it fit perfectly, and with the whole Twitter saga that we're watching now and Tesla, it's just it's funny to me how we're writing social commentary in our like people want to think they want to make things so like the anti-woke movement is everything's woke. It's like this movie's not woke, it just happens to be we're making fun of somebody that we didn't intentionally try to do, like, or maybe Rain Johnson kind of did. Maybe they got a chance to meet Elon, years
Well,
back
it's
when
not
they started
exactly
writing
like
this
it's been a
script.
secret that Elon's kind of a
A
two-time
fucking psych,
asshole,
yeah, yeah.
like and kind of a full of himself idiot.
But it's not necessarily Elon. This is like just celebrity and
Yeah.
wealthy people. They do weird shit like this all the time, right? So
Yeah,
it just
except for
makes
like
sense in
Warren Buffett or Mark Cuban, most billionaires are fucking idiots.
and Bill Gates. Well, Bill Gates
Well,
too,
true. I'm
man.
talking like the people that didn't make something.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
Like Gates made a company. It was like Buffett
Yeah.
kind of like started investing. Cuban, similar story. Where like Gates made shit.
And we all know if you really did your research, you know Musk's background. He just basically took something that was already there and,
Yeah,
you
and
know,
then figured out a way to market it a little bit
yeah,
better.
yeah, yeah. But anyway, I really enjoyed this movie. Like you said, Daniel Craig. We need more Benoit Blanc. Like I need this character in other
Yeah,
like
he needs to bounce around different properties. I
yeah
want him in. I want him in like. Remember when John Oliver did the news with the Muppets? I need
yeah
something like
yeah
that.
okay.
I need him to just random shit you didn't see coming. I want him to host SNL as Benoit, like random stuff like that.
But the weekend has to be the musical
And
guest again, right?
100%, and he needs to do
Yeah.
it almost the exact same, but as
But
Benoit.
with but as Benoit Blanc, right?
Yes, so good.
I much better than Knives Out. Knives Out was a good film, but this was like, holy shit, I did not expect myself to love this film, and I did. Next up at number 3 is Prey. This was a phenomenal Hulu
I remember when
movie.
this dropped, everyone in our Discord was like, "The fuck did I just watch? Oh my
Yep.
god, we're having a movie night!"
Yep,
It
yep.
was incredible.
Because and you and I messaged, you were like, "Holy fuck!" Because we both were watching it very close at like the same time. And I think I started it before,
Yeah,
and
because like
you
during the
were
day,
wasn't.
I had seen
Yeah.
Blaine Gibson on Instagram like freak out about it. He's like,
Yep.
"Oh my god, it's the best since the original, maybe even
Yep.
better." And I was like, "That
Yep.
is high praise from a
Yeah.
guy who
Because
named his dog after the franchise."
after the franchise, yeah,
So I'm in, and we both watched it that night. The next night, we had a movie night. I watched it 3 nights in a row. It was so good.
it was. This was a good year for taking old IPs and giving him a shot of life with Star Trek, obviously, Strange New Worlds, with Top Gun, with Maverick, and then with Prey, with the Predator saga, because this took the indigenous cast, the Comanche alternate audio dialogue. There's so many things, like you said, they really gave a lot of love, a lot of TLC to this movie, the crew for this production. It sucks that this wasn't in theaters because this would have made a shit ton of money.
It
It
sucks it's
probably
not
wouldn't
getting a 4K Blu-ray.
that too.
That drives me up a wall.
I
What are
mean,
you
they
doing,
could make a
Disney?
killing.
What are you doing?
They can make a killing off of that, because there's a lot of movies out there that didn't do. I think
Like this
like
screams
Grandma,
cult following. Everyone that loves this movie will buy it physically.
The Big Lebowski was one of those that didn't do great in the theater, but ended up making a shit ton of DVD sales. Grandma's Boy, that Adam Sandler film, made like
That wasn't Sandler.
Grandma's Boy.
No, that's the
Yeah,
gamer one. He's not in that.
no, but it's his production.
Yeah, it's his Happy.
It's Happy Madison,
Yeah, Happy
Madison's
Madison
production.
Productions, but he's not in it.
Yeah,
I don't.
no, I
I
know.
don't associate that as a Sandler movie.
Okay, okay. For me, what I meant was his production company. That was
Gotcha.
his film because it's all of his friends. That's every
Yeah,
single main character is a friend of his that's been in all of his movies, right? But that one ended up making hundreds of millions. Like Nick Swartzen on a podcast recently said, like, yeah, like it made like 10 million in the theater, but we were told it made like 200 million on DVD sales in the first 2 years. Like they made a killing off of DVD sales off of it, right? So I would think Prey, if it didn't, like, it would probably be like Ant-Man was, the very first Ant-Man, where that first week of release it didn't do very well, but then people heard, hey, Ant-Man's pretty good. Week 2, week 3 were really good. Prey probably would have been one of those where it did like 10 to 20 million the
well,
first
that and they
week, if
barely
that.
marketed it.
Yeah, like we didn't.
Other than
Yeah,
that first trailer, which was dope, they didn't
yep.
really market it much,
And,
which is
even on
crazy.
Hulu, even on Hulu's platform, it was like maybe a one splash banner that you would see, and that was really it. It wasn't in a lot of commercials on Hulu because they still do ad-based platform. It's an ad-based platform. I didn't see a lot of it. I just knew about it because I think we were talking about films coming out, and I was like, oh, we were both like, oh shit, there's that Predator movie, Prey, coming out very soon. Like, okay, we're gonna watch it. Yeah, like it wasn't marketed very well. You're right. If it were a 4K release, it would make a lot of money, and they'd give them a reason to make a sequel. But
Yep, I'd 100% buy that Steelbook day one.
yep. I loved Prey. That's number 3 for me. Number 2, Top Gun Maverick, man. Top Gun Maverick. So you obviously know what number 1 is, but Top Gun Maverick. This movie had no business being a fucking 9 out of 10. Like I'm like, what the hell are we doing here, man? Like I just was like sitting in the theater, like thinking, okay, I'm gonna watch this movie, and it's got good reviews on Rotten Tomato, both audience score and review critics. Okay, maybe they're just giving it too much love, like because it's Top Gun, 40 years later. Sat in that theater at the end of it, like, damn, man, holy shit, this was a good movie, man. Even rather than doing the volleyball, let's do the football montage. Like everything about it was like you had your classic callbacks. They were done well, but like you said, the trench scene was just oh man, the run, oh, like just nails. Like you're just like biting your fingernails. Like, is he gonna do it? Is he gonna do it? Is he gonna... And just the actors, like their scene together, like the crew, their response to him hitting it. John Hamm playing kind of the quasi villain. You know, he was pretty good, but Tom Cruise just nailed it, man. Tom Cruise
Yeah.
nailed this movie.
And how
Like
they weaved
you
in
could,
Val
yeah.
Kilmer.
Oh man, yeah. Because
That's some tear jerking shit.
I just I'll be honest with you. I didn't know he had like in real life. Val Kilmer had throat cancer. I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
I think he
I,
had a massive, wasn't stroke, but like he had a real bad
yeah,
complication a couple years ago. Maybe it
yeah.
was
It
an
was like a
infection
heart. It
from the
was a
surgery or something.
yeah. It was like a heart infection or something bad
Yeah.
like that. Yeah,
And
yeah,
it almost killed him.
yeah.
And
But
I've been meaning
he
to
has
watch that
throat
that
cancer.
self-made documentary he did,
Okay.
where he used all his because he's one of those guys that just like films everything he does. So he
Yeah.
had like thousands of hours that his son I think ended up helping him put together. I've been meaning to watch it, but like the meta around his real life issues weaved into this story. I mean, that's the magic of movies right there. Is we all know that kind of stuff, and it
Yeah.
adds. It doesn't detract. That's what I love about movies.
Yeah. But you could tell like they really cared. Like Tom Cruise and the production company really cared to make sure they got
I
this
mean,
right.
the guy just jumped a fucking motorbike off a mountain
Oh,
to parachute.
I mean, we talked about this last episode. This guy is
He's
insane.
nuts. I didn't watch that Top Gun or the Mission
The little
Impossible
doc.
9-minute doc. That was riveting. I cannot wait for Dead Reckoning, and it was already the most hyped movie for me in 2023.
Dead Reckoning Part 1. This story is going to take place over 2 films.
It's gonna
So,
be
yeah.
so good.
Number 1 film, obviously, my favorite movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Mhm.
Daniel Kwan's film. Ah,
I didn't talk about it much, so you get to go nuts because I was like,
yep.
I know Fusion is his number one, so go off.
Look, first off, this was co-produced by the Russo brothers. We overlooked that, but also an A24 production. They're an up-and-coming studio, man.
They're not
Michelle
up and
Yeoh,
coming anymore.
phenomenal. They're not up and coming anymore. They were still under the radar until this movie came out. They were still under the radar, even though they had a really good slate of films under their belt. But this movie has everybody saying, okay, they're an elite studio, you know. But what they do is they make sure that they put the creativity in the hands of the people producing and directing the films, right? They don't like studio execs at A24. They give input, but they give a lot more room for the talent to really push push the narrative of the film, like the production where they want it to go. And this was like unbelievable. Jobu Tupaki is one of the best villains I've seen. Like funny, intelligent, outright scary, and confusing all in the same film. Like just the directions that is it Stephanie Shu? I think it's Shu. Her character, she was phenomenal. But Michelle Yeoh, but you could really get Stephanie Shu could really go be in the running for should be in the running for best supporting actor. Michelle Yeoh needs to be lead actor. She should be getting an Oscar nod for that. But Ki Hugh Kwan, best supporting, he should win it outright because this movie does not work without him. Like he pulls you in so many directions, being the same character from different universes, and his speech where he talks about there's two big speeches where he's in this
Yeah,
alternate
he gets
timeline
two.
where yeah, that's crazy. The alternate timeline where they're talking outside of the theater, they're both very successful and they never marry, like their worlds went in completely different directions. And she tells him that they had a daughter. Like his speech to her while they're smoking a cigarette outside, God, it really pulls at my as a 44-year-old married man, like just kind of like this whole what if your life type of like commentary. But then minutes later, he gives the whole and it's as himself as the primary character, about love and life and the struggles of being together, and we do what we do for the people we love. Like it's like this guy is just nailing it out of the park, man.
And then you
And
throw in the meta of what happened in his life with
exactly.
being out of acting for so long.
Yep, he was
This
out for 30 years.
and yeah,
Yeah, it was like 30 years, and then he comes back and he's getting a shit ton of like New York film critics, Chicago, like he's getting the slew. Like France has nominated him. Like he's getting the slew, but we're waiting for the Oscar. Like he has to be he has to be one of the finalists for best supporting actor because, as strong as Michelle Yeoh is in this role of like carrying the film, it doesn't work without him, without Quan. This film does not work. And I know people will like, what about Jamie Lee Curtis? Jamie Lee Curtis is really good in this movie, but I think she's more of a tertiary character to me. That's how I felt watching her. And I'm okay with that because James Hong, also, who's a funny guy in the 80s, hilarious actor, right? Like a Golden Child, things like that, just funny as hell. Big Trouble Little China, that's what I remember him for. He was hilarious in that. But
He's been in a
like,
ton of movies.
yeah, it's if you go look at his 80s films, you're like, holy shit, I didn't realize like what he was in. But Michelle Yeoh is phenomenal. Quan though carries this film.
Yeah,
Like his
stand out.
energy, it doesn't work without him, man. And I really hope that they like this. It should get Best Picture nomination. It should get Best Cinematography. Like all of that. It should be getting us. It should be like the God of War was at the Gaming Awards this year, or even Elden Ring if you want to compare it to that.
Well,
But
it's Elden
like,
Ring. It's basically Top Gun versus everything
yeah,
right now. Because you say
yeah.
cinematography. Are you kidding me? Some of the shots they pulled off in Top Gun Maverick. Holy shit.
No, and I'm not arguing with you there, but what
Don't get
I'm
me
saying
wrong.
is like,
There's a conversation there, and I didn't think I would
yeah.
after seeing Everything Everywhere All at Once.
But
Didn't
you know
think
what
there
this
would be.
for me, this is when I talk
Wait, which
about
came
like
out
the
first?
everything everywhere all at once, I believe. Yeah, that came out in March.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then
And then
uh
Top Gun was
yeah.
later. Like in the was it June May? Was it in May
Yeah,
or
it was
June?
Memorial Day weekend.
Memorial Day weekend. So yeah. So but everything everywhere all at once was interesting because I went to the theater at the draft house and watched it and I was like, dude, like this is like not what I was expecting. Like we all knew it was kind of going to be kind of a multiverse thing, but it was like, are we going to really get a multiverse? And this is probably one of the best multiverse movies outside of maybe Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Yeah.
Honestly, like of all the multiverse productions we've gotten, it's a sci-fi film to a degree, but is it a
It's
comedy to
also
a
from the guys who
degree?
made Swiss Army Man.
Yeah,
Like it's if you gave those guys
I
like a
know.
Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness kind of story, it's wild.
It's gonna be, and it's just the fight scene with all the
The,
dildos and things
and
like that, like
the hot dog
yeah,
fingers.
the hot dog fingers, like they managed to tell you like yes, this concept of the multiverse is not without a level of absurdity to it. If you're talking about infinite possibilities, the absurdity now comes into play on an infinite level too. But the scene where they're both like rocks and they're talking on the cliff about life, God, that was so fucking deep, man. Like it just, and it was just words. There was no dialogue. It
Yeah,
was
it
just
was there
words.
wasn't even a score.
No,
The
it was
absence
just
of it.
dead silence. Outside of like you could hear the
The
wind
ambient.
on
Yeah.
the ambient sound, but it was just like this. To me, this was my favorite film this year. This was like bar none one of my favorite movie experiences at the Draft House. Now, this probably like if I had went to go watch this at the AMC, probably would have felt different, but this was something that really felt like kind of that quirk with the Alamo Draft House. This really fit. This is the place you go watch it. Like for me to go watch Avatar: Way of the Water, I need to go to the IMAX for that because that's what that movie's built for, 3D IMAX, right? This one was like a mixture of grindhouse, indie house style storytelling, design, feeling, mood, everything. That's what it really felt like going into this. And but I had no idea I was going to enjoy it as much as I did, man. And I immediately bought the 4K. Just love this film. My
Agreed.
number one. My number one, man.
It's hard to argue. Obviously, our 1, 2 are the same. So,
Yeah, yeah.
and yeah, our top 5 are actually pretty similar.
Pretty similar,
I
Glass
think
Onion,
they're the
Batman.
same movies. It's just different order.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of the same ones. Good year, very good year for
Mm,
movies in terms of like movies that I did not expect to be that good. A lot of great ones.
yeah.
So, Chad, of course, if you've got any, let us know. If you got any in the comments or any reviews you want to leave, let us know too. What was your favorites in 2023, and what are you looking forward to in 23? Like for me, I mean, number one, it's not top. Jesus Christ, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part One. That movie looks like it's gonna be incredible.
Dead Reckoning, Guardians 3, the final
I think the
chapter,
Marvels is
like
this year.
the
Quantum
Marvels this
Mania
year.
looks insane.
I like from what I've been reading, Quantum Mania is going to be like it's going to take people by surprise.
Well,
That's
that
what
and
I'm
Jonathan Majors
reading.
is that good.
Yeah.
As long as they don't kill the villain, it'll be fine.
Well, the good thing about this villain is there's a
They
lot of
can't.
him.
Yeah.
They really can't, but he's also gonna get his own film in Avengers, so yeah.
Yeah, it feels like this one's
Uh,
gonna be the one that really like phase five's here, bitches. Let's go.
yeah, because outside of Spider-Man: No Way Home, Phase 4 really felt like they were very isolated stories, right? This is going to bring the MCU back together, and it makes you wonder what they're gonna do with Guardians if that's the case with Guardians 3,
Yeah,
like,
Guardians
if
3 is coming up too. That's very hyped for me.
yeah,
A lot of good stuff
yeah.
coming out this year.
And there's always those catch you by surprises like Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Prey. That like if you had told me I was going to enjoy a Predator prequel movie, I would have told you what, you know?
Exactly, 100%.
No
Well,
way.
in the interest of brevity, at an hour or 40 minutes of recording, I suppose we should
Sure.
wrap it up here.
Let's wrap this bad boy up.
So, Fusion, thanks for awesome 2022 of recording. We got to do
A
stuff like
pleasure as always, man.
record in
So
person for the first time,
yeah.
which was very fun. Looking forward to what we could pull off in 23. Gonna be a
Yeah.
good time. I got some ideas for episode 75, and I got some ideas for an ancillary series. I gotta talk to Dennis, because he's one of the only people I know that's never seen a Mission Impossible movie. Might be like, hey, we should do a Mission Impossible ranking episode.
Come on, Dennis, man. My wife isn't a big action person, and I showed her all the Mission Impossible. I showed her from three
You got her to
onward.
watch two?
No, I go no, no,
Okay.
no, no, no. 1 and 2 are always off the table in my life, man. Three
They're
onward,
just different movies. The
yeah,
first one's
they are.
basically a French film.
And John Woo's too is like, what are we doing here, guys?
Yeah,
But 3 onward, she watched all of them and she loved them all. So yeah,
they're freaking awesome action movies. Anyway, that's where we're gonna wrap it up here. Hopefully, everyone who's listening to this has a great holiday break. Start to your 2023. We'll be back. What's first up on the? There's a Star Wars series coming out, is there not? Bad
I think we
Batch comes
have
out next week.
Bad Batch in January, man. We're gonna hit the ground running. You
Yep.
know,
So we'll be there
the
to
first
talk
few
about
months.
Bad Batch because I really liked season one. That'll be coming up episode 58, as well as any other movies that we got caught up. I don't know if Fusion's seen Avatar yet. I got games to play. Fusion's got things to do. We got stuff to talk about. Let's get out of here. Everyone have a great time, and we'll see you for episode 58.
Happy New Year, guys.